Good evening. You're watching the news at 7:30 on ATV. I'm Britton Clennett.
And I'm Emily Sue. Here's a look at tonight's top stories.
Local stock market operator denies reaching deal with Shanghai boss on mutual market access.
Development Minister denies scrapping Hong Kong land for Hong Kong people scheme despite Chief Executive's admission.
Disaster declared in northern Chile as powerful earthquake triggers international tsunami warning. Shares of Hong Kong stock market operators surged the most in more than a year today on reports of a deal with Shanghai's bourse allowing overseas investors to buy mainland-listed stocks directly.
Hong Kong exchanges and clearing suspended trading this afternoon, then later denied that any agreement has been reached. Hong Kong exchanges and clearing suspended trading shortly after 3 p.m. today, sending the rumor mill spinning. That's after the local stock market operator's share price surged by as much as 5.8% or $6.50 to $126.40, the biggest jump since January 2013. Investors went on a buying spree prompted by a report in mainland newspaper 21st Century Business Herald of a deal between HKX and the Shanghai Stock Exchange. The unconfirmed report said overseas investors may soon be able to buy mainland-listed stocks directly through HKX. According to the report, the Shanghai Exchange will also help eligible investors under the yet-to-be-finalized newer version of the Qualified Domestic Individual Investor Program, or QDII2, buy overseas stocks directly via HKX. Under current rules, mainland investors can only buy securities outside China through a third party, such as asset managers and funds. The newspaper took the report off its website later, but that only prompted further speculation that the deal would be officially confirmed. HKX first refused to confirm the report, only saying it would continue seeking a breakthrough in mutual market access with its mainland counterparts. But later in the evening, it issued a statement denying any deal had been struck or that there was any assurance such a deal would be reached. The stock market operator also warned investors to be careful. HKX Chief Executive Charles Lee earlier today said Hong Kong and the mainland should strengthen financial ties and investors on both sides should have a common platform. In a separate development today, Financial Secretary John Tsang admitted during a luncheon speech that even if the government decides to increase or add new taxes, it won't be an easy task under the current political climate. He said the key to increasing government revenue is to expand the tax base. Tsang today also backtracked on his earlier warning that Hong Kong may face a structural deficit if the government doesn't cut future expenditure. Tsang insisted he didn't mean that a structural deficit will happen for sure or that the city is facing a looming financial crisis. He explained that he just wanted the public to understand more about Hong Kong's financial situation. Development Minister Paul Chan has assured lawmakers that the government has not shelved the Hong Kong land for Hong Kong people scheme.
But that's causing even more confusion after Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying claimed yesterday that the scheme is not needed in a cooling property market. ATV's Raymond Young reports.
There was confusion today after Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying all but admitted yesterday that he was shelving his Hong Kong land for Hong Kong people scheme. Development Secretary Paul Chan was in the hot seat as lawmakers grilled him on why the government was quietly scrapping a key policy move to provide homes exclusively to Hong Kong residents. Pro-government unionist Chan Yun-han led the chorus of concerns, warning that it would mislead people into thinking that property prices have returned to affordable levels. She asked if the government is bowing to pressure from developers. The development minister dismissed those concerns, insisting that the scheme has not been scrapped. Democratic Party leader Emily Lau argued that if that was indeed the case, there was no need for the chief executive to come out with an explanation yesterday that the scheme was not needed because the property market was no longer overheated. The minister countered that Leung had to clarify the report and avoid any misunderstanding. Chan repeated Leung's claim that the scheme was launched on a pilot basis and would be reintroduced in the future if necessary. But that's unlikely for now, according to Chan, because the extra stamp duties for overseas buyers have cooled down the market. Only 2% of homes on the market last year were sold to non-local buyers, he pointed out. To skeptical lawmakers, that only sounded like the scheme had indeed been shelved, and officials were just playing with words. People Power's Albert Chan accused the government of formulating policies in a black box. The radical lawmaker went on to label poor Chan a liar and started mocking him over the series of scandals he's been involved in. The minister took offense to the remarks and asked Albert Chan to withdraw them. Things soon escalated into a shouting match, forcing committee chairman Ng Sing to remove Albert Chan from the chamber. Despite the rowdy scenes at today's meeting, a key housing advisor said the government was only being responsible for putting the brakes on the restrictive policy. On the radio this morning, Long-Term Housing Strategy Steering Committee member Lau Ping-cheng said sites tied to a clause to sell flats exclusively to Hong Kongers were likely to fail to attract tenders due to the abundant land supply over the past year. But he would not say if the scheme has been a failure, because only 2 plots of land in Kai Tak have been sold under it. Raymond Yang, ATV News.
The government has promised to consult LegCo first on raising water charges as it seeks to recover costs over the past 2 decades.
This comes as lawmakers were told today that Hong Kong will have to rely heavily on supplies from Guangdong even if a desalination plant is built. Finance Committee lawmakers today expressed concern over Financial Secretary John Tsang's budget proposal to review water charges, which have remained unchanged for 19 years. During a meeting to scrutinize the budget, Unionist lawmaker Wong Kwok-king demanded to know if water charges will be increased this year and if LegCo will be consulted first. Development Minister Paul Chen pointed out that water charges have always been low, and 14% of users don't even pay a cent for their supplies. But if charges do go up, Chen said, the purpose will be to recover costs from previous years, and lawmakers will be consulted in advance. Gary Fan of the New Democrats focused on the plan to build a desalination plant on a 10-hectare site in Zheng Quan O. He asked the Water Supplies Department to provide a clear agenda on a completion date and confirm whether the plant will be cost-effective. Water Supplies Director Enoch Lam said a feasibility study will be finished before the end of the year, and the goal is to complete the plant in 2020. But Lam stressed that during the first phase of operations, the facility, which will produce fresh water from seawater, will only be able to meet 5% of the city's supply. This will rise to 9% during the second phase, which means that Hong Kong will still rely heavily on fresh water imported from Dongjiang in neighboring Guangdong province. Lam also warned that it'll cost $12 to desalinate each cubic meter of seawater, while water imported from Dongjiang costs only $8.60 per cubic meter. A call by the Democratic Party Sim Chung Kai for negotiations with Guangdong to keep the lid on water prices was shut down by Lam. The Water Supplies Director said the average annual rise of 5 to 6% in the price of supplies from Dongjiang has been reasonable. On the issue of overall water conservation, Lam said the government is planning to expand its program to replace fresh water used for flushing with seawater and recycled water. He says seawater is already used to flush 23% of the city's toilets, and the scheme will be extended to Yuen Long, Tin Shui Wai, and Tung Chung this year. The goal is to cover 85% of the population. Overseas, a powerful earthquake has rocked northern Chile, killing at least 6 people and prompting an international tsunami warning.
The stricken area has been declared a disaster zone as the government rushes emergency supplies to those in need. People scrammed out into the streets in panic after a powerful earthquake struck the coast of northern Chile. The 8.2 magnitude tremor caused widespread fear, rocking the region when most people were preparing for bed last night. It was very strong. Everything moved, said this woman in the city of Arica. All we could do is pray with our daughter. Collapsing walls were blamed for most of the casualties. The quake triggered a tsunami with waves as high as 2 meters battering the coast. That prompted a tsunami warning for the Pacific coast of Mexico, through Central and South America and even Hawaii. As Chileans dashed to safety, President Michelle Bachelet declared the northern coast a disaster zone. Appropriate measures have been taken to protect lives and property, she said. The government will work for as long as it takes to deal with this emergency. Troops and police reinforcements have been deployed in the stricken areas to maintain order. Officials also rushed workers there to carry out immediate repairs and clear debris from landslides. Domestic flights to northern cities were cancelled, while schools said they were suspending classes and opening their premises to people who fled their homes. According to the US Geological Survey, the quake struck at a depth of 20 kilometres, about 100 kilometres off the coast of the mining port of Iquique. Chile is the world's leading copper exporter, but the tremor did not halt production. However, 300 prisoners took advantage of the chaos caused by the tremor and escaped from a women's prison in Iquique. But for dozens of the escapees, freedom was brief, as they were soon recaptured. For Chileans, the earthquake brought back horrific memories of an even stronger tremor in 2010. In February of that year, an 8.8 magnitude quake killed 500 people.
Malaysia's police chief has warned the search for the passenger's plane that went missing more than 3 weeks ago could go on and on.
The pilots and cabin crew are the focus of a criminal investigation after the passengers were cleared of any involvement in the plane's disappearance. As the multinational hunt for Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 continues in the remote and treacherous waters of the southern Indian Ocean, the spotlight is now on a criminal investigation into the mysterious disappearance of the plane. The Boeing 777 dropped off the radar an hour into its flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing on the 8th of last month. Malaysia today said a criminal investigation is now treating the 2 pilots and 10 cabin crew members as suspects. That's after clearing the 227 passengers of involvement in a hijacking or sabotage. The passengers, including 154 Chinese nationals, were also found not to have personal or psychological problems that could have been a factor in the plane's disappearance.
Only the passengers has been cleared. The rest, no. It is a criminal investigation. That's why I'm not able to share with you.
Another senior police officer said nothing can be determined until the plane's flight recorders are found. But that, according to Khalid, could be a long time, and the search for the black box and debris from the ill-fated plane could go on and on. Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak, meanwhile, has arrived in Perth, the headquarters of the search mission, for a briefing from those taking part in the operation. A British submarine has now arrived in the search zone. It joins 10 aircraft and 9 vessels from a number of nations in scouring the waters about 2,000 kilometres west of Perth, where flight MH370 is believed to have ended its journey after running out of fuel. US Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel, speaking while flying to Hawaii to meet his counterparts from the Southeast Asian group ASEAN, said there are lessons to be learned.
We're going to go back, the Malaysians will go back, all the ASEAN nations will go back and walk through this. What could have been done, maybe what should have been done, what needs to be done better.
Many of those who lost their loved ones have similar questions for the authorities. But with time running out to locate the black boxes, many fear they will never know why the plane turned back on its journey to China and ended at the bottom of the Indian Ocean. Still to come on ATV's main news tonight, Xi Jinping rules out multi-party politics, saying systems borrowed from overseas won't work in China.
At least 7 killed when workers in Thai capital used blowtorch to cut massive bomb.
When it comes to weather, you know it's accuracy that matters. Weather report, tonight at 7:55. Stay close to fresh K-pop from the hottest selling artists to the up-and-coming superstars. Keep in touch with the latest chart of the Korean pop music scene on Samsung Digital Special, Pops in Seoul, Thursday at 6:25. Explore different magnificent places. This world is far more than you can imagine. We open a window to let you see how extraordinary they are. A window on. Friday night at 8. Icebergs, the treacherous floating giants on oceans. Looking for ways to escape from the enormous obstacles, scientists start out on a remarkable journey of discovery. Science on the Seven Seas, Saturday night at 9:30. Soccer Fever, Amazing April. Dundee United versus Celtic, Saturday night at 7:45. Hibernian versus Aberdeen, Monday late night at 2:45. Live on World Channel. Watch the live show on your phone and ATV website.
我就唔覺得我係做善事，我有碗粥咪同人分享咯，就係咁簡單咯。我哋可以做啊嘛，小人物咪小人物咯，小人物咪做小事咯。我可以㗎。呢個年代互助咧，呢個名詞咧，好似唔記得咗啦。有能力幫人嘅咧，就已經係上天賜咗我哋個福氣嘅。我哋愛香港啦，用個心去愛香港。
Use your time wisely. Make every hour of every day count. Discover the real meaning of life on Hour of Power, every Sunday morning at 9.
The head of the Equal Opportunities Commission is urging the government to expand the scope of allowing transgender people to marry instead of limiting it to those who have had full sex change surgery.
York Chow wants administrative measures such as recording their new gender on ID cards to qualify them for marriage. After a radio show this morning, the chairman of the Equal Opportunities Commission, York Chow, urged the government to go further to guarantee the right of transgender people to marry. Under the proposed change, which was prompted by a landmark court ruling, only transsexuals who have completed invasive sex change surgery will be allowed to tie the knot.
What is being proposed now is to make sure that only people with the sex reassignment surgeries completely done before they can be recognized. And I think that is very narrow in terms of the perspective. Yeah.
In May last year, the Court of Final Appeal gave a transsexual who underwent surgery the right to marry her boyfriend. The administration was given until July to amend marriage laws, which the city's top court deemed unconstitutional. But the anti-discrimination chief says even without a law, there's plenty the government can do to provide more rights to transgender people, including those who have not had full sex change surgery, a procedure which carries serious medical risks.
I think the government can amend the laws so that they can recognize the existing administrative procedure to change a gender of a person, and also recognizing the gender on the identity card instead of the birth certificate in order to approve marriage.
Chow called for more public debate on the issue.
And I believe that this subject needs to be discussed much more widely in public and also amongst the various stakeholders.
An interdepartmental working group chaired by the Justice Secretary has been formed to look into the wider issue of gender recognition. President Xi Jinping has given the thumbs down to a multi-party political system, saying it hasn't worked in China.
During a visit to Belgium, Xi said it would be disastrous for Beijing to adopt the political or development models of other nations. Here's Raymond Young.
President Xi Jinping used his visit to Belgium to defend China's political system, which has been pilloried in the West as undemocratic. As he wound up his 11-day tour of Europe, Xi tried to address questions about politics in the world's second biggest economy. In a speech to the College of Europe, Xi said China had experimented with various political systems. They included a constitutional monarchy, as well as multi-party and presidential systems. But all did not work, according to Xi, who said, "The food may look the same, but the taste is quite different." The president argued that because of its unique historical and social conditions, China cannot simply copy a political system or development model from overseas. Doing so would only invite catastrophe, Xi warned. His statement was seen as a bid to convince Europeans that one-party rule in China under the communists will benefit not only the country, but the world as a whole. To bolster his argument, he turned to trade.
中国与欧盟经济总量占世界的1/3.
China and the European Union are two of the most important major economies in the world, Xi said. He pressed for an open market and a free trade deal, saying two-way trade between China and the 28-member EU could reach $1 trillion in 5 years' time. To underline China's growing economic clout, Xi, accompanied by his wife Pang Liyuan and the Belgian King and Queen, toured a Volvo factory in Ghent. Volvo was bought by Chinese firm Geely from Ford Motor in 2010. The factory in Ghent is the largest Chinese-owned plant in Belgium, employing Belgians to make cars for the mainland market. With Europe now China's biggest trade partner, Xi is hoping his tour will encourage the Europeans to focus on economic benefits and soften criticisms of Beijing's human rights record and one-party rule. Raymond Yang, ATV News.
Several people were killed in the Thai capital today when a suspected Second World War bomb exploded as scrap workers were trying to salvage it. Fire trucks rushed to a warehouse in Bangkok minutes after receiving reports of the blast. A fire broke out in the building, which was severely damaged after the bomb went off. The police say construction workers found the 227-kilo device and took it to the scrapyard. Workers there used a blowtorch to try to cut the bomb, but it exploded, killing at least 7 people and injuring 20. Bangkok was bombed by Allied forces in 1942 in an unsuccessful bid to disrupt Japanese plans to invade Malaya and Myanmar.
Time now for sports with Bolang.
And better news for Manchester United.
Indeed, they drew the champions of Europe. United's only hope for silverware this season is the Champions League, and they have something to smile about after meeting the title holders Bayern Munich. It's been a turbulent domestic season for Manchester United boss David Moyes, but his side are doing much better in Europe. United took on European champions Bayern Munich in the first leg of their quarter-final clash and drew 1-1, though Moyes felt his team should have scored more.
I'm happy with the performance, a bit disappointed with the result in the end. I thought the players put in a great effort, great commitment tonight. A bit disappointed we maybe could have taken one of the other chances in the game we had.
The draw has given Moyes the confidence that United can pull off a surprise win when they visit Munich next week for the return fixture. In another Champions League quarter-final, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid drew 1-1 in an all-Spanish affair. Chelsea, meanwhile, prepare for their quarter-final clash against Paris Saint-Germain in the French capital tonight. While the Londoners are among Europe's elite, cash-rich PSG are determined to add the European title to their resume and can count on Chelsea's boss as one of their admirers.
The team is very complete, it's full of very good players. The coach is good, the passion in this city is also good. People love football, Parc des Princes is always a beautiful place to play. So I think now they are dominant in France, the same way Chelsea was dominant in England.
Chelsea will be without Samuel Eto'o and Ashley Cole, who are both out with injury. In the remaining Champions League quarter-final, Real Madrid host last season's runners-up Borussia Dortmund. The Spanish giants are hoping to avenge their loss to the Germans in the semi-final last year. Also in sports, world #1 Tiger Woods has pulled out of the Masters after undergoing back surgery, while in basketball the Brooklyn Nets continued their home winning streak. The Brooklyn Nets clinched a playoff berth by beating the Houston Rockets to record a home victory for the 14th consecutive time. The Nets dominated the first quarter with a dunk by Sean Livingston, one of the highlights.
After tearing loose particles in
the hosts continued the momentum when Deron Williams went for the steal and added to the score.
And he scoops it in for...
It wasn't a good night for the Rockets. Omar Asik completely fluffed his free throw in the second quarter.
Whoa!
Joe Johnson gave the Nets their biggest lead in the third quarter. His three-pointer made it 78-67.
That play is made by Paul Pierce.
The Rockets tried to relaunch their game with Chandler Parson going in for the dunk.
It's Parsons.
But it wasn't enough. Johnson's jump shot continued to widen the scoring. The Nets held on for a 105-96 victory. Four-time champion Tiger Woods has pulled out of the Masters in Augusta after undergoing surgery for a pinched nerve in his back. The world #1 missed his usual warm-up, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, because of back spasms. The major isn't the only tournament Woods is likely to miss. He told his fans in a statement that he'll be absent from the green for some time to focus on his recuperation. Woods agreed that it's frustrating to be out of action, but added that it'll benefit his health in the long term. The 38-year-old has been plagued with back problems, and his injury was aggravated during the WGC Cadillac Championship last month, forcing him to withdraw from the Honda Classic. A look at the weather before we go. It was cloudy with heavy showers and squally thunderstorms today. Temperatures ranged from 18.6 to 20.3 degrees, while the relative humidity was between 95 and 99%. Winds were moderate east to northeasterly, fresh at times. Let's check on the ultraviolet reading. The maximum recorded for the day was 3. Tomorrow's UV index will be around 2. Now for a look at the weather in the region. A trough of low pressure is bringing thundery showers to the coastal areas of Guangdong. And now the satellite images. Cloud bands are covering southern China and the northern part of the South China Sea. Here's what we can expect over the next few days. Cloudy tomorrow with rain and squally thunderstorms. Rain will be heavy at times. Temperatures will range from 19 to 21 degrees. Becoming bright on Friday and Saturday, but there will be thundery showers again early next week. Here are the latest pollution readings under the Air Quality Health Index. General stations are at 3 to 4, meaning the health risk is low to moderate. Roadside levels are at 4 to 5, and the health risk is moderate. Finally, here's the weather around the world.
That's our main news for Wednesday night. We'll have an update in 1 hour. I'm Emily Sue.
I'm Bo Leung.
And I'm Britton Clennett. Thanks for watching ATV. Good night.
Good night.
Coming up, trackside.
Golden Globe is a stepping stone to an Oscar. How bad do you want it?
A friend in need is a friend indeed. Giving a warm hand to friends.
Steve, you're the reason everyone came here tonight. They need to hear you speak in person, from the heart.
Does that make things better or worse?
And I ate all of him.
I ate my father pig!
30 Rock, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday night at 8:30. 4 celebrities battling for the MasterChef crown, taking challenge to make delicacies that needs enthusiasm but also techniques. Who can stay and who's going home? This competition, only talent can survive. Celebrity MasterChef 7, Monday, Tuesday and Thursday night at 9. Find out Britain's top antiques enthusiast to be one step closer to becoming an antiques master. Contestants are eager to show their talents. Now, the competition starts. Antiques Master, Series 1, Friday night at 9. This Saturday, Get extra amusement from our fabulous Korean Hour and wait until you come to the final destination, where you will be welcomed by endless tears and heartwarming laughter. Korea Agro Fisheries and Food Trade Corporation Special. Korean Hour. You are my destiny. Saturday afternoon at 5:30. You don't have to go to Japan. You're already there. Follow Begin Japanology into the world of Japanese culture. Experience the traditional and modern life. Reveal the pursuit of romance and perfection. Every angle presents a unique Japan. Begin Japanology, Sunday night at 8:30. Soccer Fever, Amazing April, live on World Channel. Watch the live show on your phone and ATV website.